The partnership between Sony and Team Ninja has strengthened over the years with the success of Nioh. The Ninja Gaiden developer utilized their knowledge of martial arts and sword action to deliver a truly awesome experience. Interestingly, instead of simply delivering what they know, they're attempting their first open-world action adventure in Rise of the Ronin. Stepping out of their comfort zone may have backfired though, given the lengthy development cycle. After playing through the opening chapter, the result is a world that exists, but the main star here is the combat and narrative.
Leave the boat here.
Rise of the Ronin is ultimately a game of choices. This is instilled in the experience from the very beginning as you create a male and female character. These will be the twins who players utilize in combat, but again, an early choice dictates your avatar for the game's entirety. I will say that the tutorial wastes very little time getting you into the action, as Rise of the Ronin opts for a more hands-on approach. My first reaction to the controller layout was that of confusion, but I ended up getting used to it, and understanding the layout from a combat perspective allowed it to make more sense, but it did take some time. After the opening, you're able to head out into the open world. Team Ninja has done a great job creating a vibrant and gorgeous setting, but it is largely forgettable. The various settlements and areas have very little that differentiate them, making traversal mostly about getting from one place to the other, but there's little going on between. Luckily, there are elements of the world that make it interesting, such as random events, rare materials, and even side missions. But the setting itself didn't really grab me. I will add that this is only me referencing the opening area, but throughout the campaign, the seasons will change and time passes, which also affects the world. This dynamic presentation will likely be the most compelling aspect of the open world and something I'm looking forward to being immersed in. Still, I'm sure many will compare the environments to Ghost of Tsushima, which is definitely more detailed and full, but what Rise of the Ronin does with its combat and narrative systems are what truly define it. Combat in Rise of the Ronin is extremely skill-based and requires you to utilize all available actions to get through each encounter. The game opts to focus heavily on deflecting attacks and strategic positioning to take down foes. The experience becomes a time-based encounter as you deflect attacks in a rhythmic pattern. This is the main means of survival and something that looks exceptionally cool when you master it. One of the more interesting elements is how the developers don't explicitly teach you how to chain together combos outside of the video previews of upgradable nodes. This high level of challenge is balanced with accessibility options to make the game a little easier, which can be switched to at any time. While I do agree that Souls-like games don't need difficulty options, Rise of the Ronin has a significant emphasis on its narrative that branches out into other genres, making the inclusion of a difficulty option smart to reach more audiences. The historical narrative of Rise of the Ronin is fairly dense. However, the game has a really cool encyclopedia that can be accessed during any dialogue scene. By browsing related entries, you can see details on the people talking and whoever they are talking about, along with the region information. This does fill out as you learn more about the characters, but an interesting usage is when you have to make a choice. Depending on who you're talking to, you can pull up the information on the character to learn more about them and figure out if they are worthy to work with or not. There are also times where you may consider they'd be better off dead. The choice in the game land you in the either pro-shogunite or anti-shogunite groups. At this point in my journey, I haven't seen the result of siding with one of these groups or the other, but I'm excited to continue down the path that I see most valuable. The depth of the combat and narrative elevate the experience of Rise of the Ronin and become the true driving force for the game. However, I will say that the dense writing and forgettable early mission structures do have me concerned about possible future repetitive scenarios. My biggest fear is becoming the region's errand boy, but I'm hoping that my chosen allegiance makes the later missions more impactful. If I'm just looking at the game through the lens of the first hour, my general feedback will be, wow, this is some awesome combat. Wait, why am I helping this random shopkeeper find materials? However, there's still a large world out there to discover, and I'm glad to see Team Ninja doubling down on what they do well. Precise and powerful action systems, while also being ambitious with an open world and narrative driven experience. As I continue my adventure through history, I'm hoping to see the combat evolve further along with the impact of the story. From what I've played, there's plenty waiting for me in the later hours. Rise of the Ronin is coming to PlayStation 5 on March 22nd, 2024. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.